Hey, Dis After Dark listeners. I want to invite you all to join us over on Scare Zone, Halloween Horror Nights podcast. Scare Zone is a news, interview, history, and commentary podcast all about Universal's premier Halloween event. It's hosted by fans and experts like me, Logan Seculo, former WWE superstar Scotty Too Hottie, and Dis After Dark's own Chris Ripley. Subscribe however you get podcasts and head over to scarezone.com for more information. We here at the show are proud supporters of Dis After Dark. And remember, keep your eyes closed and your ears open on Scare Zone.
Warning, this show contains childish adult content and is intended for immature, mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised. The views spoken are ours and ours alone, not those of any other bugger. If you're easily offended, we strongly suggest finding another podcast. Everybody neat and pretty, then on with the show.
Good evening or afternoon, morning, whenever you're listening to this, and thank you for listening to another episode of Dis After Dark, or, as I like to call this one, Dis After Dark Side of the Force Awakens Part 2, because it's kind of a loose Christmas special, Star Wars special. See, now, any other podcast would now stop and re-record that opening. Or edit it down, but not us. Definitely not this podcast. I'm Nick, and tonight I'm fueled by pot noodle. Yes, when you've run out of food in the house and you're really hungry, pot noodle. And I'm joined, if you hadn't have guessed there already, by the very talented Mr. Chris Ripley.
You do. It's like that sketch on Red Dwarf where they run out of food and they say, well, we've got pot noodle, and then they go, no, we'll have the dog food.
I have not watched Red Dwarf in so long. I used to watch that quite religiously, but I watched I watched when it came back the first time, and I did those like a few episode specials, but I didn't like those. So, I heard the new series is better.
Yeah, the new one, the one that's just come out, is actually quite good.
Right.
It's more like the old Red Dwarf.
Right.
Not the old Red Dwarf, but like when it was
when it was semi good, just not excellent like it used to be. Yeah. And I mean, although I'd say normally at this point, American listeners Google it, I think quite a lot of our American listeners actually are aware of Red Dwarf. Not the American remakes that never took off the ground, of which there's been at least two.
No, really?
Attempts. Yeah. Did you not know?
Wow. Well, I knew there was one, but two, crikey.
Yeah, there was two pilots filmed. One was filmed, and it had is it Jane Leeves, who was in Fraser? Maybe I don't know. Maybe she was in Lovejoy.
Was she Lady Jane in Lovejoy?
No, not her.
No, Jane Leeves. She's from Fraser.
Yes, yeah, Daphne.
Yeah.
Daphne Fraser. She played Holly in one of them. And for those that watch Star Trek, what was the character's name? I
watched Star Trek.
Okay, it was the actress is, I want to say, Terry Farrell or something.
Oh yeah, Deep Space Nine, yeah.
Yeah, who's she playing that? It wasn't Dax, was it?
Dax, yeah.
It was Dax.
It was Dax.
Good memory. I haven't watched Deep Space Nine since it aired. She played Kat. She played Kat in one of the pilots, and Robert Llewellyn definitely played Kryten in at least one of the pilots, if not both of them. Yeah, they've never really been released. I think you can find quite a lot of footage online, but they were never broadcast.
I can't imagine Terry Farrell as Kat.
No. But hey, that's what they do. Anyway, as you can tell, this is a podcast about Disney. So, we should really get away from the Red Dwarf references. Other sci-fi comedies are, of course, available. There's not many of them, no, they're not very good generally, but, there you go. They are out there. Now, normally, by the way, if you haven't guessed, it's just the two of us.
It is.
We can make it if we try, which is good, because it means that we don't have to listen to some of the guff that comes out of other people's mouths, just our own. So this might be a slightly shorter episode, but we'll see. Because, there's a few things that we wanted to talk about. We wanted to kind of get it out there. So, and unfortunately, our Craig isn't able to join us because he's
stuck in 1956, isn't he? At the moment?
I think that's more believable than the truth. Actually, that is more believable. And certain people dropped out for not seeing Star Wars because we are going to be talking about Rogue One, as well as some other bits. And I think really we should start this show. Well, I suppose firstly, are you drinking anything?
No. But what I would say was maybe Craig is stuck on the 1956.
Ah,
To
very
Liverpool,
good.
Houston.
Yes. We're not sure if that's accurate. Don't look that up, and if it's wrong, do not email us and tell us because we really couldn't give a toss. About that, other things certainly, but definitely not that. I'm drinking some flat cherry Pepsi Max.
Would we expect anything less?
Just sums up my night, really, doesn't it?
Noodle.
A sticky rib. I've actually got this as well. Like, I'm waiting for it to cool down. It's a sticky rib pot noodle, the best of the pot noodles, and which isn't saying much at all. And some flat cherry Pepsi Max. It's been a long day.
Do they have pot noodles in America?
No, but they have very similar products to pot noodles. Like, I don't know if they have noodles in a pot that are flavoured, but they definitely have things. Like we have super noodles.
Yeah.
They definitely have things like super noodles, like ramen noodles.
Okay.
So they do so a pot noodle basically is noodles that are quickly cooked using boiling water, take a few minutes, and they're flavoured with things.
Do you know, I drive past the pot noodle factory to work every day.
Do you really?
I do, yeah.
Wow.
It doesn't smell of pot noodles when I drive past. It smells of heavily processed chemicals.
Which is, that's what is in a pot noodle, of course. By
the
the way,
the opening scene from Batman, when Jack Nicholson falls into the
vat of pot noodles.
Yeah, the vat of pot noodles, and then comes out as the Joker.
That's what happens. Do not stick your face in some pot noodles. By the way, all of that's allegedly. Just so we're not attacked by who owns it now. It used to be Golden Wonder. Who does pot noodles now? I don't think it's Golden Wonder. Probably. Unilever. Of course, it's bloody Unilever.
They own everything.
Everything's bloody Unilever. Yeah. Surprised Disney ain't Unilever. Thank God it ain't. Anyway, so yes, we've already established that there's been some very big things in the Disney world that we wanted to talk about this week.
Yep.
Why I'm talking 100 miles an hour, I do not know. But I thought we should kick off with probably the thing that everybody has been talking about since it aired a few days ago. And of course, that is the new Mickey Mouse Christmas special.
Yes.
Called Duck the Halls. Now, we have on this podcast before. By the way, we're going to make you wait for Star Wars. So if you want to hear Star Wars, skip ahead. We've talked in this podcast before about the Mickey Mouse shorts. Yep. Not the shorts he wears, the episodic cartoons starring Mickey Mouse that are shorts. Which have this new animation that is kind of, I suppose, it's kind of crude. That doesn't sound very very nice, but it's quite crude in its appearance, isn't it?
But they're very modern, aren't they, in their appearance?
Yeah, I mean, I've always kind of likened the style to a little bit like the early 90s kind of cartoons you get. So think along like Ren and Stimpy.
Johnny Bravo.
Yeah, that kind of
Dexter's Lab.
Yeah, that kind of it doesn't look traditional animation. It looks a bit funkier, a bit fresher. And the whole idea, from what I understood with these cartoons, was to give Mickey a bit more of a personality. Because Mickey, I mean, I'm sure most people like Mickey Mouse. I like Mickey Mouse, but he's a little bit wishy-washy, isn't he? Really. And if you watch the original cartoons, he was a little bit of a scamp at times, wasn't he? And I think, most kids have grown up with things like Mickey Mouse's Clubhouse. My kids certainly have. So there's an element, and also I'd say most projects starring Mickey in the last 15 years or so have been or 20 years have been a very light version, very safe version of Mickey Mouse, with almost no kind of conflicts or perils or anything. Just very, very safe, very vanilla. And I think the idea with these shorts, they launched about 3 years ago, was trying to give Mickey a bit more of an edge. Now,
Yeah.
one thing I don't get with these cartoons is, I don't know if you've noticed this or, at all. It would be very obvious if you looked at the casting, but everybody voices the characters as they do normally. So
Yeah.
if you're not aware, they have certain actors that play the Disney characters for everything. So they voice video games, cartoons, theme park announcements. They generally do everything.
Well, like Bill Farmer, he's played Goofy for 30 years.
Yeah, 20, 30 years now. Tess McNeil's played Daisy for about the last 17 or 18. And I mean, I don't know if you must have known this trivia, but the voice actors of Mickey and Minnie were actually married.
Oh, yeah, I did hear that.
Wayne Allwyn and I forget Minnie's name, which is bad actually because Wayne Allwyn's dead. And she's still voicing Minnie, so I should know that. But yeah, he passed away a few years ago now. I want to say about 6-7 years ago. So she's carried on playing Minnie, but there has been someone else playing Mickey ever since replacing him for Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, for Kingdom Hearts, for Epic Mickey. So any kind of video games or theme park announcement recently has been someone else. But for these shorts, there is a different actor playing Mickey Mouse.
But I find Mickey's voice the easiest one to mimic.
Okay, yeah, okay.
So they've had a bit of a changeover in actors, haven't they, with Mickey recently?
But only for those cartoons.
Really?
Yeah, so the same actor took over from Wayne Allwyn, I want to say about 2010 or so, something around that kind of timeline. And he's done everything except these Mickey Mouse shorts. That's what I think's strange. Although maybe
why?
Well, I think maybe because, as I said, because Mickey's been so vanilla, and they're trying to give it a bit more of an edge. But that's the only thing I can think of because everyone else is voicing the characters. So that I don't fully understand. So if anyone knows the real answer, let us know. Because the guy that does him is really good. Actually, he's a good actor as well. Yeah, so that's it. So before we crack on to the special, what are your thoughts on the shorts generally?
Well, I loved them when they first come out.
Okay.
And I still kind of do love them. The only thing that's tarnished it for me slightly is when I went on the cruise, the Disney cruise, they play all on every telly screen constantly, one after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other, every single Mickey short of those new ones, and there's not many of them.
Well, surprisingly, there is. But I seem to find the same 12 every time. I looked yesterday, there's actually 57.
You're joking me.
There's 57 that have been made so far. Because they are, as you say, they are short. So they're normally somewhere along the lines of anywhere between, I think the shortest is about 3.5 minutes, up to about 7 or 8 is the longest, I think.
Wow.
Obviously, until this special. But yeah, there's a lot more than I realised. There's been 3 seasons, and I believe only 1 DVD released.
Crikey.
It's still 1 DVD more than they released for Tron Uprising, so think yourself lucky. Although we haven't seen that DVD in the UK, so that's just an American release at the moment, and I think that only had the first 12 or so. But I mean, I actually like them. I like the style. I think the humour in them is generally very good. And I like the little nods. So you'd see other Disney characters. So there was, I can't remember what the cartoon's called. It wasn't Small Worlds though, but the one set in Paris with him. And he kind of went through the Disneyland Paris castle and.
Yeah, see, I like the theme park Easter eggs. They're my favourite.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was one about the Matterhorn, of course.
Yes.
As well. So there's some very good ones, and like you say, I think it kind of plays quite a lot of fan service into it. Now, I didn't realise that there'd been 2 specials announced, but there was there's a Halloween special apparently in the works. I'm expecting that will probably be for Halloween 2017.
Yeah.
Hasn't been made yet. And this Christmas special, which aired in the UK a couple of days ago, I think America last week, called Duck the Halls. So this was just over 20 minutes, I think. 25 minutes or so. So,
About that.
you know, by far the longest one that they've done. And the story is that, of course, as we all know, ducks head south for the winter, or they head north. Head north, don't they?
But why did he go to Miami? Surely he should have gone to Orlando.
Yeah. That's that again. That's odd, and also that's not really where ducks migrate generally. Well, that's the cartoon.
There is that.
So there you go. But basically, every year the ducks obviously migrate, as we all know, and they decided to. Well, Donald decided that he didn't want to miss out on Christmas with his friends, so he decided to escape on the way, travelling with Daisy, and stay at home, with catastrophic consequences, near death actually. It was quite grim. But it
basically turns into like a crack addict, doesn't he?
Yeah. When he started hissing, was great.
And his beak falls off like the middle of his nose or something.
Well, yeah, and that reminds me actually, one of my favourite shorts that doesn't kind of really feature Mickey is the one where Goofy loses his hearing. No, it was Mickey loses his hearing, wasn't it?
Oh, I don't think I've seen that one.
Oh no, that is a good one. Yeah, so body parts falling off in these shorts seems to be quite a regular occurrence actually. And also there's quite a few cameos from Professor Von Drake, which I hadn't seen before.
That brings me to a question.
Okay, 1 second. I'll be honest. Broadchurch series 3 starting next year. But yeah, so that's good. That's good work for him. But yes, very much looking forward to DuckTales. And interested that they seem to be keeping the theme tune.
Yes, you can't change it. It's iconic.
I think it would be a big mistake if they did. To be honest, I think that's good. And you couldn't really see much of they had like little pictures of the characters. And I'd say they're probably taking a bit more of a leaf out of these shorts in that it didn't look like the original DuckTales. It kind of looked like a hybrid between the two, I'd say.
Yeah, it wasn't so cutesy, was it?
Yeah, but it was, again, very hard to say because you just saw little headshots. So,
yeah,
you know, we'll see. That's due later next year. But yeah, so that was the first time that I'd seen Professor Von Drake in a short. Again, there's 57. I haven't seen him, so he's in another one. Sorry. But yeah. So what did you think? What did you think of the short? Or the special?
Yeah, I thought it was all right. I mean, I like the fact that Mickey obviously had an English Victorian upbringing, and that one of his relatives was the twins from The Shining.
Yes, I did like that.
So I like the way they've Simpsonized the shorts a bit, because you know, like you get the jokes for the adults as well as the kids.
Yes.
So stuff like that makes me laugh. Kids wouldn't have a clue what we're talking about. So
No.
I do like that element of it. I think that's really good.
Yeah, I mean, I watched it with my kids yesterday. My kids are 3 and 2, or 3.5 and 2, and they both seem to enjoy it. But if I'm honest, I think they will stick to watching Mickey's Twice Upon a Christmas and Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas more than watching that special again at the moment, because I think it was a bit too much for them. And definitely more of the humour was kind of aimed for a bit of an older audience. But I mean, my kids aren't in the age range for it because it's a Disney Channel program. It's not a Disney Junior program, so it's aimed at, you know, like kind of 7+, I'd say. And I think they'll get more of enjoyment out of it afterwards. But yeah, certainly I definitely got more out of that special than they did. And,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. As I said, like it does remind me a lot of Ren and Stimpy sometimes, especially with, it's not really gory, but the oddness, like where his beak fell off, and of course, would he stick his beak on with?
Gaffer tape?
Duct tape.
Oh, duct tape, of course.
Of course he would. I'm guessing that's the intention. I'm not entirely sure, but But yes, so yes, it's repeated a few more times before Christmas. Christmas Eve it's on as well, and Christmas Day is another one. So yeah, I think that both gets our seal of approval. It's a shame actually, because my favourite picture I use when giving the seal of approval, and it's probably one of my favourite pictures of all time, not involving friends and family, is a picture of the singer Seal walking on the beach, being packed by paparazzi, smiling and giving a thumbs up. And I use that as my seal of approval wherever is necessary for that. So that's one thing that we wanted to talk about out of the way. I suppose, really, in that case, we should probably talk about the other thing that came about this week, which was
Mario Run.
You know what? I still haven't played Mario Run.
You're not missing out on much, I don't think.
Yeah, a lot of people have said that to me. I'm a bit surprised. In some ways, I'm surprised, but at the same time, I think people like Mario, and it seems to just be another running game.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, you put a new spin on it, whatever. But yeah, yeah, I won't be rushing to download that one. But no, we have both been to see independently, unfortunately. But we've both been to see Rogue One, a Star Wars story.
And wasn't it fantastic?
Right, okay, so
see, I'm not a Star Wars mega fan. I am more of a Trek guy.
Oh, right, which is why you knew that so quickly.
Yeah, so I would rather watch, don't send me hate for this, I would rather watch Trek over Wars.
Okay.
But I loved Rogue One.
Trek over Wars, is that new Trek or old Trek?
Depends what you define as old Trek. I mean, I'm definitely a next generation type of guy.
Sorry, what I meant was, when I say new Trek, new Trek in my mind is the reboot.
Oh God, no, not them new ones. No.
The J.J. Abrams.
No. Well, apart from Benny Cumpatch, he's not too bad. But the rest, no.
Okay.
God, no.
Okay. Because I liked it, but I would, because I'm not that much of a Trekkie. So I thought they were quite good for what they were. It's quite funny. I never really bought into the original series.
Yeah.
I like The Next Generation.
I like the original series of movies. I thought they were okay.
Okay. I think they were very hodgepodge. I think some were great and some were terrible.
Well, only even numbers are good.
That is actually not a bad way of looking at it at all. Yeah, that's actually quite true.
Go on IMDb, listeners. You'll see I'm correct on that
one. Yes. So Next Generation was my thing. Deep Space Nine I didn't mind. Voyager, it was when I kind of jumped ship. And funny enough, the one that I really should have got into, because I was such a fan of Quantum Leap, was Enterprise.
Yes.
Couldn't at all, even with Scott Bakula.
Old
Scott
Backy.
Yeah, really like him, but no. So yeah, Next Generation's my shizzle, as I would say if I was a rapper or something. But yeah, so that's good. So okay, so from a hardcore Star Wars fan, I really liked it. I'm not turning around and saying that I didn't like it, because I did. I did think it was good. I think the problem is that the world at the moment seems to be convinced it is the greatest Star Wars film of all time, or certainly the best Star Wars film since Empire, say.
Well, a lot of people did say Episode 7 was the best film ever, and then since then a lot of people have changed their mind.
Yeah, it's not really an Avatar situation, though. Do you know what I mean? Like, when I saw Avatar, I was like, oh wow, this is the future of films, and I watched it again, I was like, oh, it's Fern Gully. I was
they have sex with their tails.
Not in Fern Gully. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like, when with Avatar, it was definitely the impact the 3D had. I think it distracted from what was going on. You were just impressive watching it for the first time. When you watch it again, it does not hold up very well. The 3D does, the film itself doesn't. I still think, having watched it about three or four times now, I still think The Force Awakens is a great film. I do really enjoy it, and it's probably my third favourite of all, maybe.
Yeah.
And I really liked Rogue One. I did like Rogue One, but as I said, I think the problem is that everyone is saying it's like the second coming, and I didn't get that. And maybe my opinion is slightly tarnished by that. I really try not to buy into the opinions too much.
The
But
hype.
with this, it just seemed to be a complete tidal wave without even looking for it. Like I wasn't even going out looking for it, but you'd go on Twitter and trending would be rave reviews, and like over the
I
news.
don't think it... Sorry.
No.
I was to say, I don't think it's done the box office what episode 7 did.
It was never going to, and it could have been the greatest film ever made. It could have been, but it wasn't an episode, and therefore it was never going to be the juggernaut. Like episode 8 next year will be as massive, if not more so, than Force Awakens. I believe that, but this was never going to be that. And even Bob Iger, I mean, I don't know if that was because he of early kind of rumours he was hearing, but even he wasn't convinced it was going to do Force Awakens numbers, and he was kind of saying, look, it's not, it's a spin-off, it's not going to be as big. So that's my very short thing, is I don't think it lives up to the expectations I had of it. However, as I said before, I get thrown under a bus or something. That's not to say that I didn't enjoy it. I didn't think it was a good Star Wars film. I did. And I think going back and watching it again, my opinion will probably change, and I'll probably be a little bit more lenient on it, and maybe I was just a bit too judgmental about it. How did you see it? Obviously, you saw it at cinema.
I did, yeah. I saw it in a real dilapidated old Odeon.
Excellent, the best.
The best, yeah. No, they keep opening up all these trendy cinemas in my area, and I thought, no, I'm going to go to the Odeon. And I bought my tickets, and there's this young kid behind the desk, and I said to him, do you know what? I haven't been in this cinema since I watched Jurassic Park.
No way.
And he looked at me and he went, you mean Jurassic World? I went, no, I mean Jurassic Park.
There was one before that, kid.
Yeah, he had no idea. But no, I was glad I went to the Odeon, because it actually, I think they should keep them old cinemas going, because otherwise they'll get turned into flats. So,
well, I mean,
go to your old cinemas.
Well, this is it. I mean, I think I've told this story briefly before, but a cinema where I used to live was an old Odeon. In fact, it was where I went to see The Force Awakens. The Phantom Menace on opening day. And about a year later, it closed because they opened a new mega view across town. Oh, sorry, it wasn't a view then. It was Stir or something. It was a chain that never really had many multiplexes, but got sold to View. Anyway. So that Odeon closed. It was in a shopping centre and remained closed for about it must have been about 13 years. And then a guy remortgaged his house, bought it, cut a deal with the operators of the shopping centre to say, look, I need reduced rent, and to make this work, and I'll cut a deal with you. So did a deal with split of profits or whatever, and didn't change the cinemas at all, but did update the equipment. So they all got new projectors, all got new screens. Seats remained exactly the same, and just tied it up a little bit. And it was £4 any film, any time.
Wow.
3D, 2D, whatever. And it's still going strong now. And their policy is, if you want to bring food in, but their food and drink is really reasonable. Like a large popcorn and a large drink, whether you have a slush or a soft drink, I think it's about £4 or £5.
Blimey.
When you consider, down in View, that would be about £8.
Yeah, that's not bad when you compare it to others, that's for sure.
No, exactly. So to be honest, even though they let you bring stuff in, we quite often just buy stuff there because it's so cheap anyway.
Yeah.
And it's no frills, but there's something nice about that, I think. And especially so I went to see it. I got some comp tickets because of my daughter crying out of Trolls. Yes.
Why?
Because she is absolutely obsessed with the pink troll in Trolls.
Right.
To the point that I think about 20 minutes into the film, I haven't seen it. My wife took her to see it, and she was in danger. Therefore, she was so distraught that that something was going to happen to the pink troll. She burst into tears and said, "I can't watch it," and she had to leave.
Wow.
And the only thing she's asked for Christmas is a pink troll. So although she will not watch the film, she's still obsessed with it, or still obsessed with the pink troll. So, so yeah, we said we went to City World, like, you know, we had to leave or my wife had to leave the film early, and they gave us 2 comp tickets to go and see something else. So we went to see it in the IMAX. We've got an IMAX in my local.
Awesome.
And I mean, it's a Limax. So for those that don't know the difference, an IMAX is a massive, ridiculous size screen. It takes up your whole field of vision. A Limax is a screen that is bigger than your usual and has better sound, but doesn't have the massive screen that it should do. And also, IMAX used to have massive projectors, didn't it? I think it was 70mm projectors.
That's it.
And new IMAX cinemas are normally digital.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of show whatever. But as I said, like, you know, they have to be up to certain standards. So the sound has to be done a certain way, and they have to be padded in a certain way, and all this kind of stuff. And actually, it was really good. It was still really good. So I've always been a bit of a naysayer against these Limax cinemas, but having gone to one now, yes, it doesn't reach the joys of going to see it on a ridiculously sized screen, but certainly that will be my way of seeing films of choice locally. Now I'll pay the difference, no problem at all. The trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy 2 in that was amazing. So it was IMAX 3D and was some of the best 3D I'd seen, actually. When I went to see Force Awakens last year, I saw it in IMAX in Leicester Square, the laser 3D, which was very impressive. But yeah, the Guardians show last night in 3D looked stunning. So that's how I saw it. I did see it in 3D. And yes, really enjoyed it. Now, what was there anything in particular that you liked about it? Anything that stood out for you?
Well, I mean, story-wise, I thought they made the best of what they had, because at the end of the day, if you think about it logically, we all know how this will end, because to put it bluntly, none of these characters are essentially in episode 4. So you kind of work backwards from that, so you know what's probably going to happen to them. And then in order to build the characterizations of the characters that will only be on screen for essentially just this film, I thought that was all good, and I thought all the performances were good.
Yep.
And I also liked, there was 2 things I liked as well. There was Darth Vader, obviously, was brilliant, and I thought there could have been a bit more of Darth Vader. I particularly liked the final Darth Vader scene. And then the final thing that I really liked was the fact that they spent a lot of money putting dead Peter Cushing into the film. And I say that because I live in Canterbury, as a lot of you know, and Peter Cushing used to live in this area. So a lot of people I know used to remember him walking around the streets in this area. So it's quite weird talking to them saying, "Do you know he's actually making films again?" "Oh, no, he's been dead for 30 years. So one person said to me, "Well, who gets his fee?" So I thought that was very well done. And I thought, I mean, you could tell it was computer graphics, but it was very well done.
Just though, and that's
but only just, yeah.
Because funny enough, like yesterday before, not because I wanted to prepare myself for it, I didn't really need to, but I'd bought, as I mentioned last week, I'd bought the the original Star Wars trilogy on BT, and so I put it on yesterday while I was playing with the kids. We was playing Play-Doh on the board. I put it on as background. The worst thing is that Lincoln, my little boy, is watching it, and he seems to be kind of enjoying it. And the first sight of Darth Vader, he giggles. Doesn't kind of go, "Oh no," laughs at Darth Vader. That is worrying. But it was the, looking at certain bits which then came to pass in Rogue One, like you say, Peter Cushing. Now, I think we talked a few months ago that we thought that was going to be in the film. So there had been rumours they were going to do it, but I've got to be honest, I was shocked at how good it looked. The last time they kind of tried to do something like that was with Tron, and it didn't look very good at all.
Or Avengers. They had that weird bit where Iron Man was a kid.
Oh, yeah.
Or a teenager or whatever it was. It's very bizarre.
Yeah, that's true. I'd forgot about that. But I really thought they'd done that very well. Very believable. Really believable. I think they did an absolutely amazing job with that. And I think the other thing as well, having watched I wasn't watching intently, but watching yesterday, was how much it ties in with A New Hope, much more than I expected to, actually. Because when we was going through it, my wife was like, well, what is this then? I was like, well, I suppose if you want to call it anything, it's a New Hope 3.9 or so, or like Star Wars episode 3.9. I said, because it's almost episode 4, but it's not quite. But I didn't actually realise how close it would be. And, spoiler alert, because we are talking about the bloody film, so if you listen to this, it's your own fault. I mean, the actual final scene sets it up wonderfully.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly how much time passes, but to me, it doesn't feel like there's much time between this
5
film.
minutes, 10 minutes top.
Do you reckon it's that much as well?
Only because they've got to catch up.
Yeah.
Only because they've got to catch up with that ship. That's it. I mean, I can't see it being much time at all.
Yeah.
And again, so talking about the excellent CGI work, I really thought that the layer at the end was well.
Yeah.
Both of them. And also, I mean, they're not the only ones, but they're the most obvious ones, because some of the pilots they'd use the footage from as well, from episode 4. So that I really enjoyed spotting Canary Wharf Station being used.
Yes, so did I. We both said that.
Really did. I mean, nothing to no one that's been there, because we went past it on the train today, and not that level you couldn't really tell, but going around the station you can definitely see where it's been filmed, and I think they did a really good job of hiding what it was.
I wonder why they used Canary Wharf Tube Station. I mean, surely with the budgets they could have built something in a soundstage.
So what it is, and I don't know the exact details, but the director has used he used it in his first film.
Oh, okay.
He either used it in his first film or his first student film as a location, and so has used it as a bit of an Easter egg.
Oh, okay.
What a segue. So the other thing, and to anyone who's friends with me on Facebook would have seen my little jokey comment that this film shouldn't have been released at Christmas. It should have been released at Easter because of the amount of Easter eggs. Now, as somebody that's not too obsessed with Star Wars, like you say, was there much that you thought, oh, hang on a second, that looks familiar, or that person's familiar?
No, to be honest with you, and even you saying about the fighter pilots, that went over my head as well.
They would have. They were flying over your head.
They literally went over my head, and I wasn't in 3D.
No, but yeah. So there was lots. Is the short answer. There was lots. I mean, there was even, and I didn't spot this one, but there was an appearance by Chopper, who is the droid from the Star Wars Rebels cartoon.
Oh, see, I don't watch that.
No, I've only caught a few, and he's on my list to catch up with, because what I have seen I've really enjoyed. But yeah, so they're even bringing some of the cartoon characters in that as well. I really liked, and I had to look his name up because I couldn't remember what it was. K2SO.
Yes. Oh my God, he was brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everyone who watched The Force Awakens last year, or nearly everyone, loved BB-8. And in fact, we was playing with BB-8s in Hamley's Stay. My daughter was taking great pleasure in chasing them around the shop. But I thought he was a great sidekick.
Oh, give me one of them any day. I don't want a BB-8. I don't want one of them. Or at the moment on Channel 4, there's this TV show called Humans. I don't know if you've been watching that.
No, but I know of it, yeah.
I don't want any of them. I want one of them.
Yeah.
Because he was sassy, he was sarcastic.
Yep.
There was one point where they said, oh, well, if you don't bloody want me, I'll go wait in the ship. You know?
Yeah, he was. It was what should have been in a way, a kind of throwaway character was made to feel so important. In fact, that is one good thing I will say about the film is that, as you say, they had 2 hours, 2 and a bit hours to make you care about all these people,
Yes.
and you did.
You did.
You kind of understood what they were doing and the fight that they had and what they were trying to achieve within that time. And yeah, I mean, they did do that very well. As I'm talking about this film, I'm actually realising that I've been very critical. I need to go and watch it again ASAP to maybe reevaluate myself on it. But
Well,
yeah.
Logan's going for a third time this week.
Wow, I probably will go and see it again very soon because I think my friend might want to go and see it at the local, and it's Cheap Day Tuesday. So
I've only ever seen one film more than once at the cinema, and I saw it 6 times at the cinema.
wow,
Was Skyfall.
wow, okay,
Yeah, true story.
yeah. I like Skyfall though.
Oh, excellent film. But I'm tempted to go and see this again.
Wow, that and from somebody who is in your situation, in regards to your love of Star Wars, that's quite something. I mean, I will say, the last, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes is tense stuff. Even though you know the outcome, you don't know the outcome, you know, because it's the untold story in a way.
Yeah.
And I think giving that.
It's so sad though, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, and
it had to end that way, but oh my god,
it didn't. That's the thing. And I'm glad it did. And that's that. You know, really, did it need to? No, they could have just gone off. You didn't. You know, the fact that they're not talked about in episode 4 is neither here nor there. Do you know what I mean? They could have survived, and they could have been flying a ship that, you know, during the battle at the end that you didn't know about.
What if
have to? But it was brave that they did.
What if it does such good box office figures? Iger goes, do you know what? I want a sequel. And then that gives like Disney or Lucasfilm an absolute impossibility now. What if they have to try and do a sequel to Rogue One?
I think the good thing is that, and it's the same with although I've complained about it, they've done the same with Marvel, which is they've gone and announced their slate.
Yeah.
So they're kind of tied into it now. Yes, okay, we've seen with Marvel before that that is adjustable in the way that Inhumans is no longer a film and it'll be a TV series. But by the by, generally when they announce a slate of films, they're pretty rigid with that.
I think only if they do really unexpected box office do they change it.
I think I still don't think it will do, but what I think it might do is they might give Gareth Edwards, I think, directed it. They will give him a second crack at the whip. I reckon they might do that because it has been so well received.
What about a Rogue One prequel that doesn't feature Jyn, but does feature the main guy, the French guy, with the robot?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I definitely like that. But then maybe they might just do a series or something. It might be easier to do a series than it would do a film. And that wouldn't be because I wouldn't go and see one because I would. I'm not saying that, but.
Or, like in Star Trek, J.J. Abrams could get Yoda to go in a time machine, go back to the past, completely change the whole space-time continuum, and have loads of different outcomes, which is why everyone in Star Trek hates J.J. Abrams.
Well, that is also, I suppose, a possibility. I wouldn't like to comment too much on that because I worry where this might turn into. But I take your point. There was something else I was going to say. Oh yeah, so we've also talked on here before because the early buzz or the early worry was that this was going to be a bit of a Maleficent. And what I mean by that, not that it's just going to be a load of cack, but makes a lot of box office anyway. But in the fact that they had to do quite late, or they did some late reshoots, which generally is not a good sign for a film.
That's not a good sign, yeah.
Now, apparently, I heard from another podcast and from an Impractical Joker who had somebody he knew that was working on the editing of the film, that the reshoots were actually all Vader.
Oh.
So the fact that you wanted more Vader well, if the reshoots didn't happen, you'd have had even less.
Is that why Vader is played by several different actors?
That possibly. I don't know that for sure, but yes, it would make sense that there's more than one person playing him. Yeah. And also, I thought the suit looked slightly different. And I couldn't work out why. I didn't know if he had like a casual Darth Vader suit to wear around the office. And one when he's kicking ass and taking names.
Just to give it perspective, opening weekend, Rogue One did 155 million. And it's number one in the box office. And Force Awakens did 247, so almost 100,000 million more.
100 million more.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I said, completely expect that. But I think what will happen here is that the word of mouth will be really strong. I've heard, I mean, all over my time. So I'm the only person that was a little bit like I didn't love it as much as everyone else seems to have done. Now, talking about it and thinking about it more, yeah, maybe as I said, I've been a bit critical, and I definitely want to go and see it again, which is a sign that I did enjoy it, but maybe just not to the extent that I'd hoped I had. But talking about it certainly made me reassess things already. And I think the word of mouth is going to be so strong that you're going to see a lot of repeat business.
Well, at the moment, with foreign, it's up to 300 million, and the budget was only 200 million.
Yeah, and factor in, so normally marketing budget for a film like that is probably, I'd say, anywhere between a quarter to a half of the actual budget. So say, even worst case scenario, 200 to make, another 100.
It's got to be in profit, hasn't it?
It won't be yet, just because I think box office takings are 50%.
Oh, okay.
So whatever the box office is, they get 50% of that, which is why everyone thought Tron did better than it did, because it made 400 million on I think it was about 150 million budget, but that, after taking into account everything else, it made a profit, but I don't know, 80 million or something.
Yeah.
So, but let's like, this is opening weekend. It's made this much opening weekend, and it's not going to go away quietly. It's not going to just disappear now. As I said, the word of mouth is so strong. Loads of people that I know haven't seen it yet already, so therefore it's going to go on. And it's, if the Force Awakens is anything to go by, there's nothing major coming out in the next few weeks.
Can I just do a quick point of order while I'm on Box Office Mojo?
Yes.
Star Wars Force Awakens, budget $245 million. Worldwide gross, $2 billion.
Yep.
Why the hell do we have to have these crappy cabanas in Tomorrowland? Why?
Well, because Alice Through the Looking Glass doesn't pay for itself.
Oh, keep your Alice Through the Looking Glasses. Oh.
Yeah, it's also why we didn't get Tron 3, because of Tomorrowland.
This is the problem. Disney now is so sectioned off that money is not being moved between everything, is it?
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. The Force Awakens could have quite easily saved Disneyland Paris.
Yeah, there you go.
and made a Star Wars land there.
If Walt was around, he probably would never have built that bloody thing in France. But if Walt was around,
he wouldn't have done it under the terms.
He wouldn't have done. Yeah, wouldn't have done it in them terms.
That's definitely it. Have you heard about that story that a hedge fund is trying to sue Disney for basically saying that they've been overcharging for the rates, because it's under license, isn't it? So everything Disney's under license.
Yeah.
And that basically they're suggesting that Disney are charging too high a license fee, and that's why Disneyland Paris doesn't make profit.
Oh.
It's something along those lines. Someone more.
Is this some giant tax fiddle then? Do you reckon?
Allegedly. We have to say allegedly. I don't know. I don't know enough ins and outs, but I think it's.
Well, what with Brexit, we've got Google, McDonald's, and all these big multinationals now relocating to London. Maybe Disneyland Paris, they'll just scoop it up in some giant crane and drop it in Windsor, where it should be.
Okay. Yeah, you might be right, actually. You might be right. So you was gonna the last so like let's just be clear. So everyone likes the Force Away. Everyone likes Rogue One. I will like Rogue One even more the second time I see it. And I'm wrong for saying anything negative about it.
See, I'm not a Star Wars fan, but that final scene with Vader, even I was wetting myself.
Yeah. So with that in mind, and the fact that you mentioned Walt Disney, you
Yep.
wanted to talk about the Walt Disney documentary. So why didn't you go ahead?
Well, yeah, I just finished watching part 2, actually. I don't know if it was a BBC production or if it was made for the UK or not, but it did seem very BBC. You know how BBC has to be, like BBC, for the American listener, is a public broadcaster, so they have to be fair. So every time they say something positive, they usually have to say something negative. So there was quite a lot of negative stuff in the documentary, particularly in part 2. And it did make Walt out to be a bit of a git, if I'm honest.
How has that affected your opinion?
Oh, it hasn't affected my opinion because I think I mean, I personally, I know I've read a lot and I've seen a lot, and I'm a Disney fan, so maybe I'm biased as well. But I think if I wasn't a Disney fan and I watched just the second part of the documentary and saw him going toe-to-toe with the unions that were on strike at his studio, then I would probably have a less of opinion of Walt Disney, probably.
Right, I get you.
But I think it's just, I mean, the problem is they were picking up on negative items within his story, but didn't focus enough on all the positive things. And they made the negative things out to be as, you know, they were talking about this bloody strike with the animators, and they were, then the next breath, they were talking about Mary Poppins. Now, to me, that film and what it did for the industry and, you know, for everybody far exceeds some pissy little animators strike that happened over like a couple of weeks back in 1951 or whatever it was. So I didn't think the BBC, I think the BBC was trying to be too fair, and in the end it did make Walt seem a little bit of a dragon.
But not Pete's.
But not Pete's dragon or Dragon's Den.
Or the dragon underneath the castle.
Yeah, that one.
But I mean, would you still recommend it?
I think you should. I think at the end of the day is Disney was not.
I have recorded it. I haven't watched it yet.
Oh, you must watch it.
Yeah.
I mean, you must watch it. I mean, at the end of the day, Disney wasn't a saint. He was a human, like all the rest of us. And it does show you his flaws. It shows you a lot of his mistakes, particularly business decisions that went completely wrong. But it does show you all of the way he revolutionized, you know, animation, film, theme parks, entertainment, you know, and the things that we all take as a complete standard. Like every child pretty much in this country and in America has at some point seen a Disney film or a Disney TV show. And when I say the word Disney, we all know exactly what that means.
Yeah.
But if you was to go into a world where he was never born, think how boring, you know, how grey the world would actually be.
Yeah.
So he's had such a huge impact on the world as a whole. I don't think the documentary quite grasps that.
Yeah, because I think you're right. I mean, and I love it when people say about, you know, the colour of the world, because famously or unfamously, I'm sure I've mentioned before that when I was young and my dad used to talk about the good old days, about when he was a child, I believed that his life was black and white until the 60s. like that film Pleasantville. When that trailer first came out for Pleasantville, I was like, yes, that is what I thought life used to be like. And someone just injected colour into it. But that's good. I'm glad. I said it's just lack of time has meant that we've not been able to watch it yet. But it's well, you know, we recorded it to watch, so there's that. Breaking injunction from my wife, by the way. She wanted me to say that she really, in Rogue One, she really liked it when you saw Vader in his kind of chamber.
Yes.
When he was in the walls, and you kind of saw, you know, how he kind of lived.
I think they needed a little bit more of that.
Yeah, and it'd be interesting to see if that was one of the things that was in as part of the reshoots.
I mean, they could have brought back the actor that played him in episode 3 and have him all scarred and, you know.
You don't need that taint. You don't need that taint. You really don't need that tank. No. Actually, you know what? I don't think he's probably a terrible actor, but I've said before, like I blame a lot of the scripts and the direction on those films because Natalie Portman is not a terrible actress, and neither is Ewan McGregor. But in those films,
I think it's funny. Everybody I've seen who's been posting their order of how they liked Rogue One with the rest of the episodes, every single person I've seen have put the 3 Lucas ones at the bottom.
Yeah. It's quite funny. Lucas, to me, yes, he gave us this world, and be grateful for that. But he's a little bit like Pharrell Williams, right? And what I mean by that is that Pharrell started off producing with his mate Chad Hugo, and they did stuff together as Neptunes, and their stuff is awesome. Generally, most like 90% of their output is great work, and a few other like bits and bobs. And Nerd together were great. As soon as Pharrell started doing stuff by himself, he didn't have that kind of filter, and so then it started to go a bit wrong. And we had the same in wrestling. There was a guy called Vince Russo who works in WWE, had Vince McMahon as his filter, went to the rival company because they paid him a load of money and his storylines were shit hot, started to do his work there, no filter, his stuff was rubbish. And I think with Lucas, there was no one telling him, no, that's not right, or that's not good. It was, I am Lucas and it is mine, therefore I know. And so he needed a committee, really. Doing
a Michael Jackson, as they say.
Yeah, that's another way of looking at it.
It's so batshit crazy, they just do it anyway.
Yeah. I suppose the kids listening nowadays doing a Kanye. Probably the nearest we got to it nowadays. Yeah.
But, question, when you say the name Chad, do you have a little laugh inside?
Only when you say it. No, I hadn't really thought about it. Why?
Well, I was explaining this. Well, I was explaining this the other day. From the part of the UK I come from, that is technically a swear word.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
See, I thought it was a swear word in Essex, but maybe you're not true Essex then.
I'm not. No. I was born by the sound of Bow Bells. I was born in Barking, but I lived in Ilford and then upwards. I've never heard that. But if anyone wants to email us or message us on social media and give us the explanation that we obviously can't say on the show, then please do. Because I was introduced, not crazy.
Well, yeah. Last time I was in America, I was introduced to a guy. He said, "Oh, this is Chad." I was like, "Hi, how you doing?"
But then that kind
of quite a common name in America, isn't it, Chad?
But then that's similar to our conversation was it a Christmas episode?
Yeah, which has got out yet
because we're recording it live on Christmas Day, of course. But yeah, we might mention things there that are more common in America than they are elsewhere in the world. So keep your ears peeled for that one. Cool. Well, look, I think that's probably enough for this week. Pretty much this year, actually. After obviously we've got the Christmas one to come, but I think that's probably us done for the year. So, thank you, sir, for being part of this show, and for not leaving us and going to Disney Brit or some other podcast like that.
They wouldn't have.
There is that, but at the same time, they might pay better and they might treat you better and they might produce a better podcast, and they might not have me on it, but despite all those things, no. But thank you for being part of the team. Thank you, dear listener, for sticking with us for 2016. We've got a Christmas episode coming out on Christmas Day, so get ready to download that. It may be the best episode you've ever heard. Could quite possibly be the worst episode you've ever heard. It is a Christmas special. That's all we can say. And
we've got a Universal show.
We have, yes, that will be going out on our sister feed. So obviously the After Dark Podcast Network, so that will be going out, I believe, just before Christmas as well. And then I think we'll see you in 2017.
Wow.
Just go and see Rogue One a few more times.
See Rogue One, watch Duck the Halls, and if you live in the UK, go on your iPlayer and watch the Walt Disney documentary.
And say hello to your friend Chad without laughing.
So I'm laughing now.
Right. Right, and so for our other sponsor of the show, we have Wendy Prater at Magical Journeys Travel.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
The very beautiful looking Wendy Prater. Is she on your to-do list? Like if you meet her in real life, you're allowed to.
She's when you open the wallet.
Yeah.
She's the picture in my wallet.
I get you. But other than our lust for Wendy, her and her Magical Journeys are there to help you plan your next Disney vacation. So whether that's a Disney cruise or a trip to Disney World, Wendy can help you by getting your reservations at midnight, getting those all-important Be Our Guest dining reservations, or meet and greets with Anna and Elsa. And I think if you quote this podcast, Craig, get a bit of a discount on your deposit, don't you?
Yeah, $25 off, yeah.
There you go. So, next time you want to book a holiday, give Wendy at Magical Journey Travels a little tinkle at wpmagicjourneys.com or on Twitter at wpmagicjourneys.
God bless Wendy and all that sail in it.
This podcast is part of the After Dark Podcast Network.